Hello, Augsburg members and guests. Welcome to our Lenten Faith Story series. By sharing our faith stories of how God has and is working in our lives, our stories give glory to God and hope to others. This week, Marge Wagstaff is sharing her faith story with us. I hope you find it uplifting and inspiring.
My name is Marge Wagstaff. I've been a member of Augsburg for over 40 years, and this is my story. My parents immigrated from Germany independently of each other at the end of World War I to find a new life in America. They both had jobs waiting for them in Philadelphia, daddy as a baker, mother as a nanny. They were both Lutheran, but not strong in their faith. They met several years after they arrived, fell in love, and married. I was born in 1935 and was baptized the same year, though I confess I have misplaced my baptismal certificate. I looked for it and somehow it is not there, but I know I was confirmed in the Lutheran Church in Olney, which is in North Philadelphia. When I was 5, we moved to Winmore, which is 2 blocks outside the Philadelphia city limits. I attended Grace Lutheran Church, where my faith formation started and where I was confirmed and later married. It was a small church led by Pastor Hill, who was a single pastor, but was helped by the senior seminarians from the Lutheran Seminary in Chestnut Hill. They came over every year and helped with the youth group, which was quite large, and also helped Pastor Hill on some Sunday mornings. Mother and Daddy only attended on church holidays, but Daddy always insisted that I go to church. He drove me to church on Sunday mornings and would pick me up when I was small. And then as I got older, I walked home, even though it was 2 miles. It was very easy at that time and safe to be walking that distance. After high school, I went to business school and secured a job working at E.J. Levino, which was a firm in downtown Philadelphia. The Korean War was on at that time, and so several of my friends and I joined the USO. For one of those special meetings, Van happened to come up with a few of his friends from the naval base in South Philadelphia. We met, danced, had a wonderful time, and fate started a new chapter in my life. After Van finished 4 years of his service, he then left to go finish 8 months at El Toro in California. He used the GI Bill to go to college. At the end of his sophomore year at Randolph-Macon, we were married. And by the time he had graduated there, we had 2 children. And after he started a year in getting his master's, we had our 3rd. During those first years of marriage, we moved around constantly. Van, at one point, we were living in Richmond, Virginia, where he had an accounting job, but decided that was not for him, and so wanted to go back and get his PhD. He managed to get some scholarship money while one lived in Charlottesville. Before this time, and even during Charlottesville, we would go to Van's home, which was in Fuquay Varina. It was where he attended the First Baptist Church in Fuquay. His parents were true Southern Baptists. And whenever we would go there, his mother would make dresses for the children, and they would put on their petticoats and gloves and hats and Mary Jane shoes, and we would all go to church. Those were the 50s, and everyone always dressed up at that time. In 1964, Van got a position teaching at Wake Forest in Winston-Salem. At that time, Wake Forest was connected to the Baptist State Convention. And so we tried going to the Baptist church for a number of times, but it didn't seem to fit. We also tried Epiphany, and that didn't seem to fit either. When we moved to Hope Valley, we were able to meet Barbara and Ron Rowell, who lived across the street from us. And they were avid members of Augsburg. At the same time in the 70s, I started working at Renolda House Art Museum. And when I was working in the education department with the docents, I had a chance to meet two new docents at that time who were also members of Augsburg, Vera Robinson and Ruth Kukin. Vera and Jim invited Van and I to join them for a social at the Sid Sowers class one Saturday evening. And we did. And we also met Pastor Richie and Joanne at that time, his wife. And we finally decided that what we had been looking for all this time, we had found our new church home. We started attending regularly and joined the church the following year. My faith has been challenged during the following years. I survived a bout of breast cancer in the 90s. It was discovered early on, and I have remained cancer-free after treatment. About 15 years ago, Van developed mild cognitive impairment, which we did not discover for a while, and which eventually led into Alzheimer's. I became Van's caregiver, which I was happy to do. In 2014, he fell. He took a bad fall due to C. diff, which we didn't know that he'd had. He developed pneumonia, other complications, and died 3 weeks later. I will be forever grateful to my Augsburg community, and particularly the Sid Sowers class, for their support and prayers. I also joined a grief counseling session at hospice at that time with my neighbor who had lost her husband 2 months earlier. We all gave our grief stories and shared with each other. We cried, we laughed, we hugged, and they were very moving sessions for us. I came to realize how blessed I had been to have had Van for 58 years, and that strength can come from so many memories. In 2018, I traveled to Israel with the Augsburg disciples and people from 2 other Lutheran churches. Our congregants were led by Pastor Laurie. The whole trip was very moving and faith strengthening. It made the Bible become real. I was not just reading, anymore. I was seeing it with my own eyes, such as seeing the Sea of Galilee and the Jordan River. At the Jordan, I was blessed to be able to see a affirmation of baptism of Colleen Crozier and Maggie DeBall by Pastor Laurie. It was just a beautiful service to see. We also visited the Garden Tomb outside the Jerusalem walls, where it is believed Christ was buried and the place of his resurrection. We had a communion in that lovely garden. It was a very moving service. And it's hard to describe how the presence of God seemed to be in that place with us for that occasion. I am most proud of my family, grown now with 8 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. Our religious denominations have expanded to include Episcopalians, Baptists, and our own Lutherans. I have one regret that I was not able to realize until later, and not able to tell my parents how much I admired their bravery and courage in coming alone to America. And where then it gave me the ability to be born here and start my faith journey. Getting these thoughts into focus for the past couple of weeks, I have come to realize how much my faith has meant to me over the years. My ties to the various ministries at Augsburg, including our quilting and our circles and worship and music and Sid Sauer's class, of course, and my need to see us all together again soon.